Councilwoman Tony Jones, District 2.
Good evening, everybody. I know it's getting late. I would like to congratulate the two patrolmen on their OVI enforcement award from the police chief. Good job. And Ms. Blackwell, thank you very much for your generous donation and using your facility. That was very nice of you. The only other thing I have is, Ms. Madden, if you do want to discuss what vacant lot you're talking about, there's a possibility I might be able to help you get some information or even acquiring the property. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Councilwoman Anthony Cefaratti, District 3.
Yes, you did. Not the first time, ladies and gentlemen.
I am sorry. I'm telling everyone.
That's for bedtime.
I have to tell you all, I spent the whole afternoon from 11:30 to 5 o'clock trying to control 3 barking dogs and 3 service people, one upstairs and one downstairs, trying to keep them. So my head is full of barking dogs. But Anthony Cefaratti, Councilman. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, to start with a piece of business, I'd like to make a motion to remove 2014-66 from the Committee of the Whole, place it on the agenda so I can withdraw it, please.
Second.
We need a motion. Do we need a motion, John? Okay. Second, please.
Second.
Call roll.
Jones? Yes. Cefaratti?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Brownlee?
Yes.
Jazinski?
Yes.
A.G.? Yes. Adams?
Thank you, everybody. For those who are wondering, that was a piece of legislation to use some of the camera money to possibly employ a couple building inspectors that we were going to discuss, and now that the cameras are a non-issue, there's no point in having that around, so thank you very much. I also wanted to officially withdraw that from the agenda.
Another motion?
Do I?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's not a sponsor.
Okay.
Moving on, I want to thank everybody for their comments tonight. It does enlighten all of us to what's really bothering a lot of people. With the senior center, it kind of shows that the intangibles that are involved with the center, and there's really no price you can put on that, because friendships and help and all of that are built over time. And that's one of the reasons why I introduced that levy, because I see the importance, I know the importance. My parents are in a different city. We use their facilities, every now and then. And the stories that you heard tonight are just, a perfect example of that. So where there's a will, there is a way, and we'll try our best to do what we can. I also wanted to congratulate the officers for doing a great job. It's good that they got all those people off the roads and protected everybody. And I also wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Councilman Jackson, District 4.
Good evening, everybody. I'm probably going to jump around a little bit on this, so bear with me. I will like to start out by saying 1.8 is now being changed to 2.3 to 2.8, and I'll get to that in a second. I too want to thank the officers for doing their jobs. And one thing I want to tie into that something else that kind of happened and kind of cleared up a little bit today. When they stood before us and they got those awards for getting those drunk drivers off the road, I don't think anybody in here cared if those officers were black or white. Let's not let race become an issue that help divide this city even more. Tell your officers thank you for me. I have a couple of responses to some things that people said. We'll start out with Ms. Madden about the issue of a house well, let's say, I think I know the issue. I know her husband. I worked with him for 30 years in the construction industry. And when he tells me a house didn't need to be torn down, I trust and believe it did. Things do fall through the cracks. It's not the majority of things that happens, but it does happen. And I also understand about the point of sale inspection. It seems like sometimes, and this is not just in Maple Heights, you'll buy a house and move into it, and you've been told that everything is okay. When you turn around and want to sell it a couple years later, it seems like there's a list of things now that they want you to do that wasn't done when you were buying that house. I understand that completely. It does happen. Again, but that's just not in Maple Heights. As far as the senior centers, and I want to say this so that it doesn't end up that the only thing that they do at the senior center is line dance, because it's not. The social workers not only do things here to help everybody, but they also go out into the neighborhood. And they take care of a lot of issues that people have individual problems with. Again, I am a person who has firsthand knowledge of that. Back in 2002, when I became disabled, I lost about 2/3 of my income. They were the first persons on my doorstep to tell me about any and every program that was available to me to help me stay in my house. They came out of this building. They do so much more than that, and I don't want to hear that or see that written somewhere that that's all they do here, because it is definitely not. And all of us who eat good every day, and you hear about our seniors here that maybe only get one meal and that's the meal they get here. I'd like for all of us to go through without a meal tomorrow and see, and then try to put yourselves in these seniors' positions to think about what actually one of the things that happen here is the lunch that they receive here. 2.8, 1.8. We have been told by people, and we've heard it said, that we should live within our budget, and we should live within our means. But already the first calls that the mayor's got this season is for lack of snow removal. Well, guess what? We're living within the means of what we have.
That's right.
I have been vocal, and I will say it again because of that no overtime should be paid for the rest of this year and going into next year when it comes to picking up leaves or removing snow. Now that may seem harsh, but if you want the city to live within its budget, that's one of the things that you're going to have to put up with, is snow removal not being as quick or as accurate as it has been in the past. If we're going to live within our means, and seeing that none of the levies did pass. So when you want to make that call, the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, did I vote for the levy? Because if you didn't, and I'm going to leave it just at that. About council not doing their jobs about it, getting information out about the levies. I'm not included in that. I missed one half of one street with passing out literature for the levy, and I passed out 2 pages, front and back, about information about the levy. One sheet, front and back, had everything to do with the senior center and what they did here. The other one had to do with the other levies, the operating levies. I went to almost every house in my district, so I know I passed out information. So people going around saying that we didn't do anything. And I know my sister, Councilman AG, I know she did too, because we kind of worked together on that. So the information was passed out. Now, whether what you did with it when you got it, if you read it, or if you considered it, or if you threw it away, I don't know. But I passed mine out. Next. A couple of months ago, I asked for people to email me suggestions on how to raise income or how to help the city or to do things with the levy. I think that was 3 months ago or 2 months ago. Up to this date,
Got nothing.
I got one response. One. And I don't want people to think that you still can't send me suggestions, because I would still welcome your suggestions. And I heard some people who had some ideas here tonight. And they might be good to look into, but I just want you to think about it. And I'm not downgrading anything anybody said. I don't know what our overall budget is here, but I would kind of doubt if another suburb could absorb everything this center does in their budget. Don't know. Could it be looked into? Absolutely, everything should be looked into. There shouldn't be anything that should not be looked into. And 2.8. How did 1.8 get to 2.8? We had a lot of back bills that had to be paid that have been paid off this year. We had less income coming in than we had last year. We had to do things to try to stay out of fiscal emergency, so some of these old bills had to be paid off. And if somebody owed you money for a year or two, I think you would want your money, wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't want it to be piecemeal to you. So the bills were paid off, but now we're possibly looking at 2.8. So I would gather to say that the things that we're cutting now, if no more revenue comes in, I don't know how they could be replaced. How can you replace something when you owe that much money and less revenue coming in? And our property values that went down, city didn't have anything to do with that. I think everybody knows, but they might want to blame the city for it. It's from the county. The wording that was on the ballot that people complained that the city was trying to trick you into, that didn't come from us, that came from the Board of Elections. So some of these things that are being written and said and put in literature and passed out from people who would profess or try to get you to think that they know everything. I don't know how they can make some of these mistakes of some of the things that they're saying that are just blatantly inaccurate. 2.8. What are we going to do as a city? What are we going to do as a city? Last council meeting, Tony Jones started out with a little simple question. If you love your city, raise your hand. Sadly to say, everybody didn't raise their hand. I don't understand that. I think everybody in here loves the city in which they live in. So what is it that's dividing us that we all just can't get together on one accord and work for the betterment of our city? We need to remove ourselves out of the way, our personal agendas out of the way. And I talked about this a little bit last meeting. If you profess to believe some of the things that we profess to believe in here, I want to paraphrase something. Christ said, people will know that you're my disciples by the way and the love that you show toward one another. That's the way people know. Well, if you love each other, you be concerned about each other. If you're concerned about each other, you care about each other. If you care about each other, you got to care about their well-being. And again, how can you say you care about well-being of people if it doesn't bother you that our seniors might go without eating or not without the services that this place provides them 24/7, 365. 2.8. And with that, I'll end my report.
Thank you. Councilman Brownlee, District 5.
This is the longest time of comments that I've seen in a meeting tonight, and it's understandable why. We are up against a wall, facing some tough decisions, and they are decisions that directly impact people in the most intimate way, you might say. I've been talking with seniors. Some people falsely presume that I don't like seniors. And I've heard their stories, and they've made my eyes wet, just like everyone else's. I'll come back to that. We are here as council and the administration with the burden of coming up with the ideas ourselves in Maple Heights. We weren't set here on this dais to reflect that responsibility back to you. You will never hear me demand of you some type of idea because I think you owe it to me. That's why I sit here. It's because you've asked me to come up with the ideas. It was asked tonight, why can't we get together? And that sounds wonderful. And we all, who disagrees with that? No one wants to disagree with that. We all, on some level, want to come together. But when you can't trust someone, you cannot come together. You know why something like the senior center levy went down? Something so fundamentally beneficial to people. Had nothing to do with seniors. It had everything to do with a lack of trust in city officials. That's why it went down. It was asked tonight, how can you say you care about seniors
How
if
do
you
you know
didn't?
that, Mr. Brownlee?
Madam Chair,
Sorry.
how
I should know better, Madam Chair. Thank you.
it was asked tonight, how can you say you care about seniors if you didn't vote for the letter? If you don't want the senior center above all else to stay open? I can answer that very easily. How can you say you care about your city? You can say you care about your city by demanding that things be done in an open and forthright manner. You can say that you care about your city by ensuring that services like the building department are run in the best manner possible. You can say that you care about seniors because when they're at home and their neighbors turn up their loud music, you want someone to be able to respond to that call and ask them to turn down their music. There are more ways than one to say that you care. We're being faced with a false dichotomy. It's either you hate seniors or you love them. It's not true. We're hinging it on one item out of many. One department out of many. We understand that it's meaningful and it's important to people. There are plenty of other things too. Let's not lose sight of that are extremely important to people and even affect seniors. How their roads are, how their safety forces are handled, how the building department is run, all impacts them just as much. And frankly, if those things aren't done, then less people will want to live here, less people will want to invest here, and there will be even less money to run the senior center. We have to be looking at that long-term goal of city health, not health of one department. We can say we care. And please, do not demean people by making it about one issue and saying you hate the city if you don't stand with us on this one issue. The traffic cameras were a hot button issue for months here in Maple Heights. Do you know what happened to about to happen to the traffic cameras? They're about to get the same treatment here in Maple Heights that they got here in Maple Heights throughout the state. The Senate just passed a bill that was almost a mirror image of what we passed here in Maple Heights merely 2 weeks ago. They're gone. And they're gone for legal reasons. It's not about safety. When we were considering this, it wasn't about safety. That was an afterthought. It was a great cover-up. Let's not pretend. You want to hear? Okay, go back to the neighborhood news, and you'll find our council president making that very comment that it was about revenue. It's documented. There are others. People in the administration. Their very words were, we better move fast on this because it might be over before the end of the year. Why? Because they wanted that money before the cash cow was gone. Let's not play games. Sure, it could have been about safety, but if we wanted to divide it by percentages, it would have been 80% money, 20% safety. So, the traffic cameras, they're being decided even outside of Maple Heights. So those who voted in favor of issue 99, even though many up here will critique you for that, the state legislature, and I'm fairly certain the Supreme Court of Ohio is going to side with you. So you can feel good about that. And our city gloriously spent $31,000 fighting your right to put something on the ballot. They wasted $31,000. That's $31,000 less for the senior center. I sent emails. I spoke personally to administration officials. I said, do not do this. There will be ramifications. Did they listen? No. Why? Because it was about money. Because if they couldn't get that extra couple months of money, they were concerned they were going to default. And that may very well have happened here in Maple Heights. This is the truth. So, the truth. It was a very interesting comment from Mr. Vassis. He said, truth or dare? It's a comical, interesting way of putting it. Yeah, we need to tell the truth. And the first thing, let's stop beating around the bush. There's a huge elephant in the room. Now, actually, there's multiple ones, but I'll just tackle one right now. There's an elephant in the room. I think everyone up here hates my website, Maple Heights News. I think they hate it. They loved it. They loved it before its spotlight turned on them. They loved it until that happened. Oh my goodness, wait, he's saying what we said? Oh my goodness, he's quoting us? Oh my goodness, he's showing the figures that we didn't tell anyone? Oh my goodness, he's giving an interpretation that people can understand. And they turned on it. You know, Mr. Jeffrey Lansky is suing my poor wife and I. You know why he's suing us? He's suing us. Do you know why he's suing us?
Because you lied.
Here's the elephant in the room. Madam Chair?
You lied.
Madam Chair, please. So, what happened was the mayor put out some campaign literature back during his last mayoral election. It made some great claims of what he had done and what he was going to do. My poor wife, she looks at it and she says, well, geez, it's not like these things happened. Because they hadn't. Or they had stopped happening. Oh, she did. Well, she just put the facts right next to the claim. Here's the claim, here's the fact now, 2014. Is it still there? Is it not? She even put in things that were still there. But Mayor Jeffrey Lansky has a habit of suing people. I'm probably the 12th person he sued during his political career for this kind of stuff. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
time for a new mayor.
So, the elephant in the room. Let's have it out. They don't like my website. But there are a lot of people who do. A lot of people who want that information. My wife and I have labored for 18 months providing you with the information you have never received before. Never received before. It's at your fingertips. You can grasp it. You can't even go to the city website for this information. Provided for you, original documents. Yes, Mr. Vasses. Truth or dare? I take that dare. It was said that we should volunteer tonight, and that's a wonderful idea. It's ironic that it would come up at this meeting, because last week actually, I did volunteer my time. I volunteered to go out with our leaf crew, learn how they do it, help them, bring out my own rake. You know what? You know, it was interesting. The service director said, "Oh, okay, be in here at 7 o'clock." I said, "I'll be here at 10 to 7. I'll be here for at least 3 hours. Help you out." You know what came to happen? I got a phone call later from an administration official saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, you can't do that. It's a legal thing, and you can't come, and insurance, etc. You'd be riding on the side of the truck." They don't ride on the side of the truck. Someone stopped me. You know, back in the summer, you know what else I did? I volunteered. I volunteered for a pay cut. I was told I couldn't. I said, "I'm going to take, 10%, 25% pay cut?" I said, "Just take it out of my paycheck, keep it." Oh, wouldn't do it, okay? And my wife and I take our 5 children. Who here has 5 children?
I do.
Yes.
And I have, since he asked me the question,
Madam Chair,
my children, I'm allowed to answer that question. I'm like, constitutional right. You don't mean what you say.
I've stood in Mr. Dober's house many times. We've had great conversations.
Oh, that's not true.
Okay.
Once.
No, that's not. But Mr. Dober, let's not get into an argument about it.
Well, you are an advocate too.
Madam Chair, really?
Take control of this room.
You know,
So thank you.
Mr. Brownlee, could you please move on with your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So, my wife and I take our children out to pick up garbage around our block. So volunteering is a great idea. And just this afternoon, I was on the phone again, talking with people from congregations in our city, people who care about our city, about volunteering, about possibly stepping up and taking on the responsibilities of the food pantry. Because there's people here who are already in the process of starting a food pantry. And they were excited at the thought that, you know what, we could partner on this. So yes, volunteering is very important in Maple Heights. And I'm glad that point was brought up. If you would like to hear facts, the truth, December 8th, I will have my next meeting at the library, where you'll receive original documents, where you will receive a breakdown of the finances. You will receive information that you can use, I promise you that. It'll be December 8th at the library at 7 p.m. Bring your pencil. There'll be things to write down, things you didn't maybe know before that you'll find helpful to yourself, I'm sure. Everyone who's come in the past has said so. Even members up here who now are scoffing said the same things at the meetings. It's funny how it works. So on December 8th, Thursday evening, come out 7 p.m. And you'll receive some information about where the city stands. I'll be glad to provide that service for you. Yes, Mr. Vasses, it is truth or dare. Yes, I did say a year ago that changes needed to be made. And yes, the city kicked the can down the road another year until now we're almost out of time to make adjustments. But perhaps with God's intervention, we'll be able we will be able to get together something in a speedy fashion so that we can address the issues of not just the seniors, but not just them, everyone in the city. Because we are in dire straits. And putting up another tax levy is not the answer. Acting in a faithful way to discharge the duties that have been given to you, to balance this budget and make the decisions that need to be made, is what will get a tax levy passed in the future. Until that happens, we will be shooting for the moon. This is about trust. And I pray that you will come to the meeting the first Thursday of December to find out more about where your city stands. May God bless you, and may God bless Maple Heights.
Councilman Richard Brownlee.